We get to land, we get to arrive and be here present on Thursday. Well, for me, it's Thursday, 3 p.m. I know we have people attending from all over the world, and so it could be a different day for you. It's definitely a different time. And if you are watching the replay, I just see you and honor you for investing time and energy. For those of you that are here live, like it's really fun to have some interaction. Hopefully this can feel interactive, it can feel personalized. Like I've said, it's midnight in Spain. Got it. Nice to see you, Darja. um I don't think that women are served by a one size fits all approach. And so I'm hoping today can feel like we can get into some of the nitty gritty of what are the hormones and the symptoms that are associated with those hormones, such as estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, your adrenals, your thyroid, and I'll, of course, go over some solutions. But once again, I don't think this is going to be a one size fits all. My preference is always to actually have a conversation with you and, in an ideal world, have time to get to know you both qualitatively. How do those symptoms impact your life and your relationships and your vision casting and how you show up in community, right? We talked about that a bunch yesterday with those 6 areas that kind of keep us feeling drab and fine. And then also, if I had it all my way, I would have the opportunity to also look through the lens of quantitative. What is actually going on with your hormones? What is actually going on with your adrenals? And what's so fun is I have Jess on today, and she was a client from 6 years ago, and she said, it's totally fine if you share my Dutch Plus test. So I think it'd be fun to even do a share screen and we can get into some specifics of like, what do I see? Now, granted, for her, it's been 6 years, so we need to redo testing, but it's still fun for you guys to be able to see like what are options and what are one of the tests that I like to look at. Um, if this is your first day, you're watching the replay or you're here live, we've covered a lot of ground. Like we really got into what is vitality for me and what is it not for me and what are the consequences of kind of nothing changing. And then also what is the relevancy and importance of our energy and our hormones and our libido and our confidence and our vision casting and the role that community plays in the midst of that. And my hope is that you've had a lot of kind of self inquiry and self awareness, right? This isn't just about some journal entry where you get to take notes and be like, oh, that was nice, right? Let's tuck it away and put it back on the shelf. But instead, my hope is that it can be a living, breathing thing for you. And like I said, I opened up the doors and I have some pretty substantial giveaways right now. I think it's until next Wednesday if you say yes. And, we're gifting a virtual VIP day and an extra one-on-one session. So that's right around a 6,000 value, just gifted, just for the women that are able to make the declaration and say yes, even in the context of how confronting it can be. Like I said today, I really want to dig into the roots of hormones, adrenals, thyroid, the silent puppeteer, so to speak, behind the symptoms that often we blame ourselves or we push ourselves more. Many women have gone to providers and the providers like, no, everything looks fine. And so then we go, gosh, is it just me or is this just part of aging? Right. And I get to go, no, you get to demand, you get to be in the place of self advocacy, to want to be in the place of optimization, not just belly up to fine. And hopefully, reminder you've got concierge support. If you don't have the workbook, make sure you're reaching out to them. Raisa just put the email and the phone number in there. Raisa and Aaliyah are both here every step of the way. And like I said, when you go to the replay page, please book a call. That call, I opened up a bunch of spots next week just to have a conversation and explore. Oh, and there's the workbook. Thank you for the workbook team. You're so awesome. And this space is safe and it's brave and it's sacred. We're not here to perform our wellness. We're here to receive it and we're here to be in the places of the roller coaster or this double helix, right? The double helix, the shape of the DNA. It's this constant evolution and rhythm. Tides come out, tides go out. We breathe in, we breathe out. As women, we get to feel happy and sad and fearful and in love and all of the things, knowing that we're very dynamic beings. And thank you for all those links, you guys. Okay. Let's just go right into symptoms. So if you pull up the workbook, I'll do a share screen. We're going to go into all the hormones and the adrenals and the thyroid, but if you go to the page with just like, oh, wait, sorry, this page, which is just like the cluster of all of the symptoms, I'll pull it up for you guys, if for those of you that don't have it printed up. Share screen. Where is it? This one. To come to, not this, this. Just to go, whoa. Okay. Circle or underline any that apply for you. If it's been part of your story: fatigue, anxiety, weight gain, cravings, brain fog, mood swings, low libido, irritability, can't fall asleep, wake up tired, bloating, PMS, irregular periods, hair loss, feeling wired but tired, hot flashes, vaginal discomfort, salt cravings, feeling like, whoa, I don't recognize myself. This is not the woman I thought I would be. That 2 to 4 a.m. wake up where your mind is buzzing, but your body's exhausted, difficulty falling asleep, afternoon crashes, knowing that you're drinking way more caffeine than you probably should, infertility history, right? If you've had a hard time with miscarriages or hard time getting pregnant, constipation, diarrhea, bloating, acne, brittle nails, cold hands and feet, overwhelm, right? Difficulty focusing, belly weight, taking longer to reach orgasm, new rashes, feeling like you want to leave him, it, create big change, like you just want to throw a dynamite in. I give this laundry list of symptoms to go, it's all relevant. And I can tie every single one back to your hormones, the symphony, the cocktail of hormones. And so when you go, whoa, pause and reflect. What symptoms have I been silently managing or dismissing? And I'm curious if you guys just put in the chat anything in particular that kind of jumps out at you. Hi, Tiffany. Nice to see you. Anything that jumps out at you, right? The hormones are the architects of our vitality. And when they're off, they dictate your energy, your mood, your metabolism, your sleep, your skin, your confidence, even how you connect with your partner, how you connect with yourself, how you engage in community, right? So I'm seeing belly weight. Is it bad that I circled all of them? No, it's honest. Salt cravings were surprising to see on the list, but that is me in the last few years. Yep. Also sugar cravings, but salt cravings in particular, I think adrenals and I think thyroid. Yeah, just to go, huh, how fascinating, how fascinating. And to be able to ask ourselves the question in the workbook, what has it cost me in joy and energy and clarity to keep pushing through? Afternoon crash, or right, needing to go back to sleep after officially waking up, and then the cravings. Yep. The gut microbiome is a really powerful, potent thing. The gut is, depending on what is going on with what's called a gut dysbiosis, it can be overwhelming in the cravings, particularly sugar cravings, right? Not able to shed the weight. Yep. And so when you guys are exploring, do I want to do the trifecta? Do I want to do women's vibrancy code? With women's vibrancy code, we're including the gut microbiome testing and that hand holding with time to really go in and go, all right, what's going on here? Good bacteria, bad bacteria, yeast, mold, so many the different things, and the impact on your immune system. Yeah. Not able to shed the weight, bloating, belly, totally. Okay. So let's get into some specifics. First, estrogen. Okay, when I think about estrogen, I think mood, I think memory, I think skin, hot flashes, you're bleeding, your weight. Okay. Estrogen isn't just about reproduction, It's a powerful brain protector. Okay, so if you're struggling with brain fog and you're in perimenopause, which for most women, I notice it really starts to ramp up around age 45, but for some as early as 35. Okay, it influences serotonin, your happy hormone. It influences dopamine, your I'm proud of myself and I'm motivated to get stuff done hormone, which then impacts mood stability and memory recall, right? Estrogen plays a role in collagen production. So, as estrogen is dropping, you might notice changes in your skin. You might notice you're getting injured more often, right? So we want to stay supple and hydrated, right? So just one little thing that you can do. My preference is that we look at your testing. Let me pull up Jess's Dutch Plus test. Let me just show it to you. This is so fun. Thanks, Jess, for saying I can share. Are you still there? You're driving. I can kind of see your car. And hi, Maru. Nice to see you, and Caravel, and Laura. Okay, let me share screen. So a Dutch Plus test is a kit that shows up at your front door. And this is the old way that it was presented, but I can see your estrogen, your progesterone, your testosterone, and you've got this cogwheel. So we're looking through estrogen at the real metabolites, what is going on, but then there's this, which is your 24-hour cortisol curve. In Jess's scenario, back 6 years ago, her adrenals were exhausted. You see this blue line? They were not waking up. Okay, I want to see it between low end of normal and high end of normal. I can see other markers of your adrenals, such as DHEA. I also get to look at not just the hormones. This is dizzying for you guys, but this stuff is so fun for me. It shows me what is your body doing with them? How does your body get rid of testosterone, as an example? In Jess's scenario, when she has more testosterone, it's more likely to cause some acne or some kind of new hairs along mustache, jawline, nipples, and abdomen, just based on it going more down this alpha-nergic pathway. Crazy, right? And based on her progesterone, I know that if she supplements with things that are going to support progesterone, or she even goes on a prescription of progesterone, her body's going to absorb it quickly. I can see how her body methylates, and a lot of it is going down this 4-OH pathway back then. And it tells me a lot around, ooh, girl, this isn't just that we want to shift the estrogen, but we also there's some room to shift how her body gets rid of it. And this can tell me things like propensity towards the yucky cancers and osteoporosis, or some of the kind of not so great side effects of estrogen if it's not sent out well. And then the cool thing with the Dutch Plus test, I get to see what's going on with thyroid and mitochondrial function. In this scenario, she was making cortisol, but it was swiftly dumping over to cortisone, which tells me the thyroid was probably needing some help, but the mitochondria were functioning. And hopefully this is fun for you guys. And then there's something called organic acid, which is so cool because in the last 6 years, the Dutch Plus test has offered lots more to this panel. We can see B vitamins and detox pathways, melatonin, gut markers, inflammatory markers, dopamine levels. So, anyway, when I'm saying I want to look quantifiably, it's like that's just one of the tests. And there's so much data that it gives us. And then we mix that with what is going on with you and what symptoms are you personally experiencing. Right now, I've got a client in Canada who lives out of her car. Okay, so she doesn't even have a refrigerator. We get to work around that. I have another one who has what's called Barrett's esophagus. She cannot swallow capsules. We've got you. One in New Zealand who takes Amazon like a month to get anything to her. So, depending on where you are and what you have access to, me and the team get the opportunity to really give you a personalized approach that fits the flavors that you like. And maybe you're busy running a business and you have young children and you want to make something that the whole family can eat, right? It gets to be tailored to you. I will never forget one of my clients in Panama. We were talking, she's like, oh, I'll just go to Whole Foods. I'm like, girl. That would have just saved us 15 minutes if I knew you had a full Whole Foods down the road. And so we get to work with where are you and what is your lifestyle like, okay? And once again, do you check the MTHFR gene? I can, Kelly. It's not something that I automatically test for everybody, but for some I absolutely do, particularly for a woman who's had recurrent miscarriages, for a woman who is showing that she's not absorbing B vitamins well, um, for a woman who is chronically fatigued and depressed, we can always add it. And it's nice because it's a blood test. And because you're in the US, it makes it much easier. Blood tests are a lot easier to do in the US. The what's the gut health test that I use? The gut health test that I like to order is called the GI map. It's a stool test. It's a kit that gets delivered to your front door. Not the most fun to collect your own stool. And I didn't bring Katie on for this workshop, but often I bring her on. She's the team dietitian. She's got her master's as a dietitian. She's published chapters in textbooks. She's also flown all over the world to teach clinicians specifically about gut microbiome. And so if you come into the year-long container, which is the Women's Vibrancy Code, that it includes gut microbiome testing and additional time with her. Because really we need a good 6 months to go in there and do proper gut microbiome repair. And it's relevant. It's important, okay? Your gut microbiome is going to impact your hormonal vitality, whether or not your body can absorb the nutrients from the food that you're eating, your brain clarity, your energy level, your weight maintenance, your immune system. 70% of our immune system lives in our gut. 90% of our serotonin production comes from our gut. So I think sometimes, especially, um, there's a good percentage of clients that come and hire me that have already tried a lot of things. Like they've seen the naturopaths, they've seen the acupuncturists. I've had clients say I went to 23 specialists before I came to you. There's others that I'm their first stop. But the reason I bring it up is I love the challenge to be able to go, all right, where is that missing puzzle? And that's one of the beauties of the Women's Vibrancy Code is then it gets to be more comprehensive and we have time. So we're looking at gut microbiome and hormones and adrenals and thyroid. I'm bringing in the trauma release specialist. Yeah. Do you need to follow a diet? I love that question. I'm not a fan of like going on diets. My preference is that we find a lifestyle that is sustainable for you. Okay. Sometimes initially there's going to be some tweaking that might feel a little bit jarring. Like, what do you mean? Like, I've got one client right now. It's time for you to let go of cow dairy for her. She's like, oh, but I love cow dairy. So we're finding ways to like, okay, well, what parts of it do you love and how do we support you? And Katie comes in with meal plans and nutrition plans, but she gets to understand why. Especially when you look at the data, you can't deny it mixed with symptoms. Anyway, okay, let's go on to progesterone. I love all these questions. So, progesterone is the hormone of calm, it's the hormone of sleep, it's the hormone of cycle regulation. Okay, so if you're still a menstruating woman, we want progesterone second half of the cycle. It's going to help balance out any of the irritability, the PMS, the menstrual migraines. And it is like satin, just like, oh, like take that really inflated balloon where you're just like, I'm gonna pop, and just help create some space, some softness around it. Okay. If you're a woman who's no longer menstruating, progesterone plays a lovely role in really the inner knowing and the quality sleep. Okay. Um, it's your body's natural Valium. It also promotes GABA activity in the brain, which is deeply calming and supportive. Once again, of restorative sleep. And for those of you that are menstruating, I could talk more about that. An unknown tip is if you dim your lights 2 hours before bed, it can help naturally boost progesterone production. And and progesterone naturally rises in the second half of your cycle, which is why if you're menstruating, we collect the Dutch Plus between day 18 and 22 of your cycle. So we know where you are and we can really look at is your body responding and producing the progesterone, or do we need to go in and help support it? And it's really needed. It shows that you're ovulating in a healthy way. Um, Another nice thing with progesterone is if you have healthy B vitamins are going to really help progesterone production. And there are some supplements like wild yam cream or Vitex, depending on where you are. Or for those of you that are like, well, what about hormone replacement therapy or bioidentical hormone replacement therapy? I don't have one size fits all. I'm not one of those that's like every woman needs to go on HRT or every woman needs to do it naturally. We get to find your way. So maybe you want to start with nutrition and supplementation and lifestyle change, and then have the conversation around I want to go to my provider and talk about getting a prescription. What questions do I ask? How do I advocate for myself? How do I make sure I'm not going to be put on progestin and instead it's progesterone? And what does that look like? Okay. It is one point. Please no progestins. Okay. We want progesterone. Okay. If we talk about testosterone, and, hopefully you have space in your notes and hopefully you're taking note of all this. Testosterone is around confidence. Um, it's around energy. It's around libido. It's around muscle tone. Okay. It gives an energy boost. Men will have a surge of testosterone about every 30 to 60 minutes throughout the day. We tend to have a surge of testosterone about twice a month. Okay. It's often thought of as a male hormone, but women, it plays a really vital role for us as well. Don't get me started on access in the United States and Canada. It's really fascinating that men can get testosterone. All they have to do is I'm having a hard time with a you know what, and then the doctor's like, oh yeah, let me prescribe you testosterone injections. Whereas a woman, um, she has to really advocate, and it's off label. And so usually you're going to a compounding pharmacy and getting it as a cream. But if we do weight bearing exercise, if we add in maca powder into our smoothies, there are natural ways to help promote testosterone production, including helping our partners understand the female arousal system, which is responsive, not spontaneous. And I'll often say, if you're not feeling turned on, sometimes it's your hormones. Sometimes we'll look at your thyroid hormones and your sex hormones and your testosterone, including your testosterone and your adrenals. But it's also, am I turned on by what's being offered to me? Am I actually turned on by the life that I'm living? Is my purpose being fully expressed out in the world? Right? Is my fire being stoked, so to speak? From an adaptogenic perspective, I love Shatavari and ashwagandha to help support this conversation. And I already mentioned weight bearing exercise. It goes a long way, as well as quality sleep. So when yesterday Brigitte shared her testimonial, and she shared after 20 years of not sleeping, and now she's 3 months in of quality sleep, and all the ways that that's kind of impacting her day. Part of that in my mind is also because quality sleep is when our testosterone is produced. So she's now, her body is like bathing in natural testosterone. I'm seeing in the chat my Urogyne just prescribed estradiol cream. Yeah. So estradiol and estriol, which are two different estrogens, are known to be really supportive of the gynecological tract. So that's dryness, that's maintaining sensation if there's any kind of a numbing effect. It can also be great to prevent bladder infections, help protect the urethra and the bladder long term. Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. Um, Thyroid. Let's talk about thyroid a little bit. It's a tiny butterfly shaped gland in your neck. And it's like your body's thermostat and engine regulator. If you think of it through like a car, which I don't know much about cars, but it's going to influence our metabolism, our temperature regulation, our skin, hair, and nails, menstrual cycle, fertility, sleep, energy level, weight maintenance, mental clarity. Okay, so things like brain fog, dry skin, thinning hair, losing the outside of your eyebrows, putting on weight that just doesn't really make sense, having a hard time with hot or cold, strange rashes popping up on your skin. All of these for me are like, ooh, let's make sure we check your thyroid. And what I want to say is, even if you've gone to your primary care provider and you've been told your thyroid looks normal, I did my nurse practitioner training at Yale. I got a pretty good education. And I was told that the way you screen for thyroid disorders, you order what's called a TSH with a reflex T4. And so most of your providers are looking at your TSH, which stands for thyroid stimulating hormone. The range is way too wide for what's considered normal. And a lot of women get completely dismissed. So that an average lab will say your normal is 0.45 to 4.5. I actually want to see it between 1 and 2. Okay. And so what's very possible is you have symptoms of a sluggish thyroid or a subclinical hypothyroidism, but it's just simply they're not ordering the right tests or they're not looking through the lens of optimization. So it's like, don't get me going. There's something called your hemoglobin A1C, which shows us the average of all of your blood sugars over 3 months. And there's this line of you have diabetes, you don't have diabetes. And so in Western medicine, it's like, okay, let's say it's 5.6. 5.6 is and above is you have diabetes. 5.5 and below is you have prediabetes or don't have diabetes. So in Western medicine, you can go in and it's 5.5 and they're like, oh yeah, you're fine, just come back next year. But if it's 5.6, now we're going to put you on medication and you're going to meet with our dietitian and we're putting you on a diet plan. It's like, wait a minute. Why do we have to wait till we're a disaster to start implementing change? So now I have to wait until I officially have a completely exhausted thyroid and then you're going to give me support versus going, what if we look through the lens of optimization? Okay. So in an ideal world, I want to see your TSH. I want to see your free T3, your free T for here. I'm going to put it, do this. I wrote it out so I could copy and paste it into the chat because you're like, the what? So TSH, free T3, free T4. There's 2 different antibodies ideally, and then your reverse T3. That's what I would consider a comprehensive thyroid panel. And we look at the results through the lens of optimization, not through the lens of are you sick enough yet? Taking into consideration your symptoms. I have a client right now. I just met with her this morning. And she's like, well, here's the list of all my symptoms and look at my labs. It's right on that brink. 1 point lower and she would officially be in hypothyroidism. But if you look at all of her list of symptoms, it's like, no. So then I walk her through, here's what you're going to ask for. Here's the symptoms that you're going to report, right? So now the provider has what's called the ICD-10 codes to justify prescribing and the insurance will cover it. Yep. So you get to have someone in your back pocket that's here advocating for your optimization. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. I want to make sure that we talk about adrenals and but also it's a lot of information. So to just kind of pivot and breathe for a moment and to go, okay, take a breath. I love that you guys are all taking notes. And we've walked through a lot of the core symptoms women like us deal with, right? The fatigue, the overwhelm, the cravings, the brain fog, the weight that won't budge, the sleep that's not restorative, right? Laying flat for a certain number of hours is not the same as actual restorative sleep or hormones that feel out of whack. And then we get to go, all right, we want to take a pause. That's why I call this pause. We get to take a pause and just to create a moment to be in radical honesty and to be able to once again ask myself the question, what is it costing me to keep doing what I'm doing, to keep saying I'm fine when you're really not, to be late at night Googling and hey, ChatGPT, doing research alone, trying to be your own provider, and waiting 3 months to get in, or going and making a doctor's appointment and you've got 10 minutes and you're left feeling dismissed, trying to piece it all together yourself. What is that costing us? To bounce from practitioner to practitioner, or to just simply do nothing because it's so overwhelming or we don't have the time. What is it costing our energy, our hormones, our libido, our confidence, our vision casting, how we show up in community? Right? And I get to be there to go like, let's get real. You don't get whole health transformation by shopping at McDonald's and hoping for a Michelin star life. Doesn't work that way. You don't reclaim energy and libido and clarity and confidence by dabbling in quick fixes and scrolling through supplements on Amazon. And now you've got a shelf of supplements that either you're buying expensive urine or you're never even taking anyway, and you're just shooting darts in the dark. It's worked for my friend. Maybe I should try it. Right? And we all know that. You know that. But I also know that change is vulnerable. It asks you to stretch. It asks you to risk. It asks you to invest. Sometimes even before you believe you're worthy of it. And for some, sometimes even after you've tried other options and they didn't work. And you get to pick yourself up by the bootstraps and say, I'm willing to try again. So that's when I get to offer, like, it's my gift, truly. It's my gift to hold these containers, but it's also my gift that I'm offering you guys a call. It's no strings, no obligations, just a conversation, you and me, to be able to go, what do you want? What is it that we want? Can we craft something for you? How are you getting in your own way? And what I know is you deserve that. And so, just as a reminder, there's two pathways right now, and I'll keep it brief. There's the Women's Vibrancy Accelerator Trifecta. It's a 90-day hormone, adrenal, thyroid reset. Right? We're doing the functional testing. You're getting the personalized one-on-one sessions with me and Katie. And for right now, I'm gifting that extra one-on-one session. You get to choose. Do you want it with Katie? Do you want it with me? And you can decide after you've gotten to know both of us. Plus, you've got those amazing modules. Watch the testimonials on the replay page. People have said that the modules alone are like, oh my God, my life changed. And the private community for support. To be able to twice a month pop on these calls. And that's a perfect option if you want to jumpstart your health with precision and structure and speed. And then we have the Women's Vibrancy Code, which is the full year journey. That is my signature program that I've run for 6 years. And it's for women who are ready to go all in. They're wanting the spectacular, right? And then we're adding on gut microbiome testing and nervous system work where you're having one-on-one trauma release sessions, deep emotional work and holding, and there's weekly coaching. That's an invite only space. So you'll notice, thank you, Rasa. Rasa put the link to the trifecta there. Grab it, book a call. You can also just check out right there. Anybody's welcome. For the Women's Vibrancy Code, I really handpick and I protect that container. So it's an invite only space. And when we're on the call, we'll be able to be clear of if it really feels like the right fit. And you get my full team. You get full access to the entire library of every call I've facilitated since April of 2020. It's deep, right? And if you've loved this workshop already, we still have time, we still have tomorrow. That tells me something that you're probably ready, that you're listening into that inner whisper that says, there's more, there's more. And then at some point, we have to say it's a moment of decision, not pressure, but an invitation to decide if you'll keep living by default or choose to live by design. You get to decide if you want to keep wondering why I'm so tired or actually feel the glow return and go, there I am again. I'm a force to be reckoned with. And so I get to ask, if your energy was fully healed, what else would become possible? What would you do in the world? Who would you be in the world? How would you parent? How would you lead? How would you love? How would your marriage evolve? You felt sexy and alive and worthy and in real receivership. This work, it doesn't just change your health, it changes your life. And it's bold to say, but it's like, well, the thing that's kind of in the way or standing between you and that next version of you is just a decision. And so you get to say, I'm willing to receive. Even if there's some unknowns, even if I don't know how I'm going to find the money or the time or the energy. And what about this? What about that? We just get in our own way. We get to be her, the woman that says, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready to meet her on the other side, to breathe differently, to eat differently, to become someone who invests in her future self with fierce love. And you get to be generous with yourself. Generous with yourself. And so just allow yourself to feel into that for a moment. And like the settling. If I give myself fierce love, and when I move all of the muck and the distractions and the emotional labor out of the way, and I become her, what then becomes of my vision casting and my confidence, and what do I do with that? And allow yourself to feel gratitude of the possibility. And the cool thing is that practice also is part of our adrenal well-being. Part of our adrenal well-being is getting out of fight, flight, freeze, fawn and getting into gratitude, stillness, breath, presence, vision casting, curiosity. When the amygdala, this part of the brain that's tucked deep inside, it's the reptilian brain, when it is activated, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, for whatever reason, air you're breathing, the water you're drinking, something that stimulated something that happened to you when you're 2 years old. When Miggy is out, there's no space for curiosity. There's the gut health is turned off, immune system is turned off, hormone production is turned off, and clarity of thought is turned off. We go into core safety. So when I talk about adrenals, it's our opportunity to allow for that fight, flight, freeze, fawn response to be there in ways that serves us. I want to see your cortisol rise when you first wake up. When I shared that visual of Jess's and it was like, Rawr. I want to see it rise when you wake up. We're leaving the cave. We're ready for life. Not off the charts, right? And then it slowly comes down as we progress through the day so that now we start winding down and go into sleep. Okay, so your adrenals are small but mighty glands that sit atop your kidneys. They're about the size of an almond. They produce cortisol, they produce DHEA, also pregnenolone, if you've ever heard of that. DHEA and pregnenolone are both hormone precursors. In the US, you can get them over the counter, by the way. And other things too. The adrenals are dictating a lot. They're going to impact blood sugar stability, and blood sugar stability impacts your adrenals. Your adrenals are going to impact inflammation, and your inflammation impacts your adrenals. They have a lot to do with the sleep-wake rhythm. Okay. The wired but tired feeling, like if you're having that 2 to 4 a.m. wake up where your mind is buzzing but your body's exhausted, that's likely adrenals. The salt cravings, likely adrenals. If your thyroid has started to become sluggish, it likely is because your adrenals have been depleted for a while. And in Western medicine, nobody really tests for it. Maybe they'll order your, a cortisol at one point in time through blood, but it's like, what are you going to do with that? In relation to what? So I like to look at what's called the cortisol awakening response and your 24-hour cortisol curve. It's a collection through saliva, and it's part of the Dutch Plus test. And it's not just stress glands. The adrenals are rhythm keepers. They're energy managers. And they're absolutely vital during perimenopause and menopause when our ovaries start to slow down the production of specifically estrogen. The adrenals get the knock on the door. And so what happens for a woman 35 and older into perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause, as the ovaries start to slow down and the adrenals get the knock on the door, if we have been going on fumes, overdoing it, not setting boundaries, lots of old trauma that's unresolved, then the adrenals are like, hi, I see that you're knocking on the door, all disheveled with curlers in our hair and still in our pajamas and a cigarette as they hanging out our lips. And we're like, sorry, come back later. Slam the door, right? And so then a woman's experience of perimenopause and menopause is much more difficult. It's the women that come in, their hot flashes are over the top. They're really not sleeping well. Weight is like, brah. Irritability, anxiety are off the charts because the adrenals are already tired when they got the knock on the door. Okay, so what most women don't realize is during menopause, your adrenal glands pick up the job of producing your sex hormones. Okay, remember how I said DHEA and pregnenolone? They come from the adrenals. They're hormone precursors. When our body has those, the body goes, oh, I know what to do with that. I'm going to convert it over. Yeah. And then when I mentioned that the adrenals have been sluggish for a while and now the thyroid, we have something called the HPA axis, where the thyroid and the adrenals are this tight knit team in collaboration with something called the hypothalamus, which is in the brain. It's where old trauma is stored. It's called the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, and it's the master communication line between your brain and your body's stress and hormone systems. And so when cortisol is too high for too long or bottoms out, your thyroid function slows. And it's the body's way of conserving energy in a perceived crisis. And it's why we can't just treat one system in isolation. So the trifecta, we're looking through your hormones, your adrenals, your thyroid. We're looking through nutrition, supplementation, lifestyle, how we think, right? So if you're tired, foggy, moody, inflamed, not sleeping, it's all those are all things that's like, oh, time to listen. Okay. I do want to say, like, quick solution with adrenal health is adaptogens. Adaptogens, adaptogens. They help the body better adapt to stress. Things like ashwagandha and rhodiola and holy basil and dark chocolate and reishi and chaga, and you're seeing all these mushroom coffees. They're not all created equal. My preference is that I get to help you craft an adaptogen elixir that's like really serving your body with the flavors that you love, and we're mixing the adaptogen with a protein source and a fat source. And then it's helping to regulate your cortisol curve. And some are better in the morning versus the evening, right? But if at a minimum you just start bringing in adaptogens, awesome. The other thing that's going to support adrenals is bringing in daily rhythmic anchors. Your adrenals really love predictability and nourishment, particularly for women. Like, we're really served by just a little bit of predictability and nourishment and feeling safe. So how we wake up and how we go to bed, if we have some routine around that, it goes a really long way. Okay. And it can often be an overlooked healing tool that's really simple. Yeah. Okay. I've talked a lot. I'm curious in the chat, what so far is like, ooh, that I really needed to hear that. And just put it in the chat. What was the thing that was like, ooh, I needed to hear that one. That was good. I'm so proud of myself. I think I'm keeping on time. Everybody's looking at their notes. What feels like that, I think, is relevant for me. I'm so glad I learned that. I love it. You guys are looking through your notes. Understanding adrenals and cortisol more. Cool. Yeah. How trauma is affecting the adrenals. Yep. Routine's important for adrenals. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We want the amygdala tucked in and safe. Then we get from there, when it's safe, then we move up to the different part of the brain that's like, oh, I'm feeling emotions. And then we move up to a different part of the brain that's like, oh yeah, I can think logically and be in curiosity and create. Yeah. Yeah. So good. I love it. Breath for a moment. When I look at the workbook, I gave a whole laundry list of things that you could try. Real life solutions, just a checklist of hydration and protein and adding cruciferous veggies and eat foods rich in selenium and zinc. And, and like I said, when you book that call with me, we'll go in. And if you have any questions about that specifically, I'm happy to help. Okay. To go, all right, what can I start doing today? Once again, my preference is that we mix your symptoms in your life with your data. So, at a minimum, come in and join the trifecta. Let's look at what's going on quantitatively, okay? And make sure that you have time in a group setting and in a one-on-one setting. Okay, I didn't write it all down, but what you said about turn on not being spontaneous for women. Yeah. Yeah. Right. So the female arousal system is responsive. The male arousal system is spontaneous. It is such a crucial thing for heterosexual couples to understand. When we don't respond just right now, whereas they don't necessarily understand that, right? It's the moments of in the morning, you did something that really was speaking to my love language, and I felt heard and I felt seen. And you sent me a sweet text and you unloaded the dishwasher and I didn't even have to ask. And we just had that conversation where I felt inspired by you and appreciative of you and I feel connected. And then you gave me a foot rub, it's on, right? I love the smiles. But to be able to understand that and not judge ourselves for it, we have our own turn on. We have our own arousal system. It's very different. Also, oh, by the way, the clitoris is not the size of a pea, it's actually the size of your hand. Just saying. Okay, how long does the complete health reversal take? It depends on your scenario. Kelly, in your scenario, you've got a lot of stuff going on. I would say that I would trust that there would be pretty substantial change within 3 months with the trifecta. And my preference for you would be that we would have the entire year, because there's layers of it. Okay. Um, as an example, I can think of a woman, she initially came in, she had pretty significant symptoms that were related to her hormones and her gut microbiome. She had constipation, she had diarrhea, she had pretty severe bloating. She also had irritability that was crazy and the weight changes. And so, of course, we started addressing thyroid and hormonal um, tweaks. She'd been put on progesterone because her provider ordered blood tests at the beginning of the month and told her that her progesterone was low. I was like, well, it's supposed to be low at the beginning of the month. You're a menstruating woman. And so anyway, we came in, brought in some change in those first like 4 to 5 months. She was in the year-long program. And then at the 6 month mark, we redid another GI map. And how fascinating. It's like if your kids have their laundry all over the floor and you go in and you clean up all the dirty clothes and you put away the clean clothes and now that's been put away, but now you can see the carpet. And oh my gosh, and the carpet was like an old piece of chewing gum and some wrappers. So what happens with some of this is we clean up the laundry. Awesome. Feels so much better to be in a clean room. But oh man, underneath that we find something else. Kelly, I'm committed to code. The thought of having you and your team for a year to regain health is a dream manifesting you. Yeah, totally. And I love that it's on your vision board. We just bring it into the realm of possibility and make it work. The other thing to make sure everybody knows, there's financing options. Like you can use your HSA funds. There's so many possibilities. Don't let money be the thing that gets in your way. We get to put money in circulation. And it's a great announcement to the universe that you're prioritizing yourself. And then it's always fun to hear the things that come back. I mean, I could tell you so many stories. One of the women, she did the year-long program, came to a retreat, then enrolled in her second year, and she got a phone call. They had just inherited $10 million that they didn't know was coming in. She's like, well, I guess I can afford it. Yes, of course you can. Okay, let's end with a nice guided meditation and then we're done for the day. For those of you that know Gary Zukov, he's such a cool thought leader in the world. I'm going to go over, my husband and I are going to go over there and sit by the pool and have some time with Gary. Okay, close your eyes for a moment and just let your body soften. Imagine the ocean when you step in and the sand kind of churns and then it all gets to settle and you can see through that really clear, crisp water. And just allow, like, we've spent 3 days now, 3 hours kind of churning and learning and being in self-reflection. And sometimes it feels kind of triggering. And, sometimes it's like, God, why didn't I do that earlier? And why am I having such a hard time prioritizing myself? And just let the dust settle, let the sand settle, let go of tension in your jaw and your forehead, your eyebrows, your shoulders. Stop holding in your belly. Gently bring your mind to just one symptom, one thing that's been weighing on you. Maybe it's the exhaustion or the fogginess or feeling disconnected, feeling kind of alone, lacking a sense of belonging, and just feel it. Let yourself be honest. Take note of where in your body you feel it. What does it feel like? Is it a heaviness? Is it a clenching? Is it a stabbing? Is it an aching? Is it a bubbly? Something else, a heat? And breathe into the possibility that it's gone. And just breathe into that possibility. Let it expand, let it dissolve, and then feel what's on the other side when it's gone. Imagine waking up rested, clear-headed, light. Your body moves with ease, your mind feels sharp, and your smile. How does your smile change? What's the quality of your mornings, your afternoons, your evenings, your relationships, your work? What's the quality of your voice? And feel the version of you that says yes. She's already here. She's not broken. You're not broken. You're in bloom. Maybe you're that bud pushing its way through the soil, or the bud that's ready to open and blossom. And just take a breath and just say, I'm ready to bloom. I'm ready to be in the realm of possibility. And take a breath and allow your eyes to open and just take note of what you see, what you feel, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste. And when you're ready, I invite you to write the word call in the chat. Call. Just to say, I hear the call. I'm making the call. I'm ready for the call. to be able to be in real receivership and open to not only the transformation, but the ripple effect of that broader transformation out in the world. Not just a pebble in a pond, but a boulder. Bam! Call. Yeah, call. 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 Yeah. And I really encourage all of you on the replay page. Raisa, would you put the replay page in the chat one more time? When you're there, you see at the top, book a breakthrough call, book your call, watch those testimonials, move into the realm of possibility. And tomorrow we get to explore detoxification, not just what we consume and absorb, but also what we eliminate and what we release. And even if you've attended one of my events before, it's always different. It's always fresh. It's always new. And I just want you to know you're doing beautifully and keep showing up. For those of you watching the replay, please reach out to me. Keep choosing yourself, right? And for those of you, you're on live, you can watch the replay and you can watch it again. And for those of you on YouTube, you're welcome to reach out, okay? You're welcome to put in the comments, especially if you're not registered and you're like, I want the workbook. Where do I get this replay link? There's a lot of possibilities for you. And if today sparked something, I invite you to not wait, to book the call. All right. I appreciate each and every one of you. So proud of how you've shown up for yourselves. And hopefully I get to know, Carol and Janelle and Jess, can't wait to chat, and Carabelle and Darja and Maru. I would love to have a call. Yeah, Andrea, to really just to have time for presence, for intimacy. Into me, I see. Yeah. And to know that each symptom is just your body speaking, saying, hello, what about me? I'm on a little support here. And we've got you. All right.